Taking a look at the security overview, there was no way to do this other than to make it a big pointed list. I just want to give you the scope of all the stuff in terms of S3 security that we should know. And we go more deeper on all these little things here. So I'm just giving you a broad overview before we dive into it. Looks like a cheat sheet, but it's not. Just trying to get you the information. So the first thing are bucket policies. These define permissions for the entire S3 bucket using a JSON-based access policy language. If it looks a lot like IAM policies, it is. It's just scoped around a particular bucket. You have ACLs. This was a legacy feature. It's still you can still use it, but nobody recommends to use it. It was a way to give cross-account access to other AWS accounts, and it has very simple permissions. You have AWS Private Link. This is a way of utilizing a connection from an ENI to S3 to keep all connections internally within the AWS network. It does cost something, but it is also very robust. I don't think I have it in the list here, but the other thing is gateway endpoints, which is similar to this, but free. And we talk about that when we talk about inter-network privacy, which is on this list as well. CORS. So CORS allows you to access things on other websites from your website. This applies to S3 static website hosting, since we can set S3 CORS and say, hey, I want to be able to download these JavaScript files to execute on my website that's not from the same domain. You have S3 block public access, probably the most important security feature. It prevents you from using ACLs or bucket policies unless you turn this feature off. I think also with access points as well. And there are services around that to make sure that you're aware when it's turned off. So you have IAM Access Analyzer, and it will tell you, hey, you have block public access off, and then these files are open to the internet or open to these particular people. Is that what you actually want to have? So that's what that does there. Inter-network traffic privacy. This is just the concept of making sure that your data is secure by staying within the internal network of AWS. And so that would use private link, which is interface endpoints from VPCs, and then you have gateway endpoints from VPCs, and both can be used here. We have object ownership. So this is when you're saying who owns the data, and that's just more to determine who pays for it. When you change the ownership, there's some security considerations to consider, or limitations that we should be aware of. You have access points. This simplifies managing data access at scale for shared data sets in S3. So the idea is that instead of writing these giant bucket policies, you can write subsections of permissions and put them on a separate endpoint to make management to multiple people easier. You have access grants. This is when you want to make your data available to identities or principals within a directory service like Active Directory. You have versioning. So you can upload multiple versions, and it doesn't really delete the file. It just unversions or makes the version uncurrent, and has delete markers. You have MFA delete to prevent the deletion of files without first confirming that you want to delete via multi-factor authentication. Only root users can delete them, so great security feature. Object tagging, so we can organize our objects. From a security perspective, tagging is, of course, very important to take inventory and understand, what kind of, maybe you have like encryption on particular files, or files are sensitive, so you want to mark them as such so you know. In-transit encryption, so understanding the concept of TLS, and that in-transit encryption is not the same as server-side encryption, which we'll cover as well. There's a lot of stuff to cover in server-side encryption. Then we have client-side encryption. Then there is compliance validation for Amazon S3. So this is just understanding that S3 meets the requirements of HIPAA, GDPR, and things like that. Then we have infrastructure security. So this is understanding the underlying infrastructure for S3 services, the data integrity, and availability. So the last two, I'm not 100% sure if I have slides for them right now. Probably in the future I will. But this is all the stuff you got to learn about S3. S3 is a core service. So if you're going to learn about security, you definitely better learn about S3 security. Okay.